the key benefit of text mining is that rather than retrieving documents based on keywords that you then need to read yourself, as with standard keyword search, I2E reads the documents for you and identifies relevant facts and relationships and extracts them in a structured form for review and faster analysis. And even you can connect these facts together in new ways to synthesize knowledge and create actionable insights. I2E is used a lot in pharma biotech, including 18 of the top 20 pharma, and by an increasing range of healthcare providers, including Kaiser Permanente, for example, in the US, and also by government or regulatory bodies such as the FDA. So just to set the scene, if you think about the pipeline from bench to bedside, from drug discovery through to development and into delivery of therapeutics, you need insight at every stage to answer questions and get through development gates. So, for example, early on in target discovery, you might need to search the biomedical literature for specific genes involved in bone cancer. Or you might want to search the patent literature to understand the technology around, the landscape around kinase assay technology, for example. Or thinking further down, you might want to find the optimal sites for a phase 1 or a phase 3 clinical study. These kind of studies obviously need very different characteristics. So answers to all of these questions will help support key business and healthcare decisions. But most of these questions can be answered from information in free text documents. And historically, researchers have just sat down and read the free text and created summaries and analyses themselves manually. But this is less and less possible as the volume of text data increases, both in the variety of substance and in the format. And we need text analytic tools to make sense of this vast amount of unstructured information. So, digging a little deeper into the challenges of textual data, you need to be able to find information however it's expressed. So, looking at the slide here, on the top left is very familiar. You have many different words that have the same meaning. So this is 4 different ways of pointing to a particular drug, cyclosporin. The top right is similar. You've got different expressions for the same meaning. So here, thinking about looking through, for example, patient notes and trying to understand which patients define themselves as non-smokers. Obviously, the very simple search for non-smoker would work well. But thinking about pulling out somebody who said, does not drink or smoke, that's a much more complex. And being able to find, again, and identify that patient as a non-smoker is important. On the bottom left is, again, something similar. Here, we're looking at the ways different doses are described. So you've got milligrams per kilogram per day or per diem. Being able to capture the numerics, the measurements, the numbers, and the format and the whole grammar around that per day or per diem is very important. And again, if you're thinking of associating dosage levels with efficacy or safety, it's critical to be able to find and again normalize all of that information. The bottom right hand is a little bit different. Here, having the same word, it works well for search, but because of the context, you're actually finding very different information. So a patient that's diagnosed with diabetes is obviously very different from a patient that may have a family history of diabetes, but actually no manifestations themselves, or similarly, no family history. So natural language processing, or NLP, can recognize and interpret these different concepts and grammatical structures. So natural language processing-based text mining provides the capability to look through unstructured text. On the left hand here, you can see we've got documents with domain knowledge and metadata. And those documents could be typically things like scientific reports or patents, electronic health records, pathology reports, and so forth. And you can apply the metadata that's relevant for those documents and the domain knowledge, so that could be ontologies and vocabularies. And then using sophisticated queries within I2E, you can then search through that whole body of documents, that big corpus, and pull out structured information. And you can see that at the center here, I know it's quite small, but it's looking for key facts around tumor dimensions and being able to structure that information. And that information can then be provided to the end user as visual graphs or tables, or pushed into data warehouses, for example, to support research or analysis or patient care. And it's important that the queries that can be written enable you to get very accurate results, so you're only pulling back the relevant information. And it's very comprehensive and systematic